Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend, Dr. Pamela Gerali. Hi, Pamela.
Hi, Kathy. I am so excited to be here with you today.
Oh, me too. And I can't wait for people to learn about you as a resource for their not easy necessarily, but step-by-step way to follow to reconnect with themselves on a really high level. You've really made it step by step easy. Well,
That's the intention.
yes. So, Pamela, I want to know how all of this started with you so that people could get an idea of how they get a feel for your journey. Could you start with that, please?
Absolutely. I've had an interesting journey, and it began when I was a young child in a small rural community in a very fundamental Christian church. There were a lot of thou shalt nots, a lot of things I wasn't allowed to do, and it was quite limiting in many respects. But college opened the doors, and I pursued a career in nursing and public health. And I had many amazing leadership experiences that I learned so much from, and they really helped me. But also, it was one of the experiences that I had as the program director for Prevent Blindness America. I went to the Center for Creative Leadership in Greensboro, North Carolina, and that changed everything for me. That was the pivotal moment when I turned and went down a more spiritual path. And it's also what led to the evolution of my own inner teacher, the blueprint for the human spirit. I had been reading books and attending workshops, but I was concerned a little bit about what was coming through and whether or not it was my truth. But this inner teacher emerged, woke me up in the middle of the night, and information started flowing in from the skies, so to speak.
Wow.
And I would lay there until it evolved into so much that my mind couldn't contain anymore. And I would get up and type it into my computer. And it started with a really simple mind, body, spirit triangle and kept evolving in harmony with my own personal spiritual growth. And till now, it is a beautiful matrix with 15 cells, 5 fields of existence, and 5 dimensions. And with it came sacred geometry. So there's just beautiful imagery, mostly in my mind, since I can't put it on paper very well.
Well, the thing is, at first, until you really understand and I'll put it up in a moment, until you understand the levels, you won't really understand the other side of it. But what it does is it actually, because this is what I know, is that it's almost like those wheels that they use for coaching, where they say, what part of your life is out of balance. On the matrix, you may be at a top level on some aspects of your life, but not all of them.
Right.
And so that's what. So let me show everyone what we're talking about. It's not a very big version of it.
Okay.
But what we're talking about is the levels on the far left. And let me get off for a second so that so it's a little bit bigger. Is it okay with you?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
You can see on the left-hand side, there are 5 fields of existence, and that includes the quantum or the energetic field, followed by the personal or self, the social, global, and then the eternal. And those are different aspects of our being, and they create a sense of abundance when we bring them all into harmony. And across the top are the 5 dimensions, and I know there's more in life, but these are the 5 primary ones that I work with: the physical, mental, emotional, intuitive, and spiritual. And the interesting thing about these fields and dimensions is that the spiritual aspect of life is really the integration of all the rest. And it's so exciting when you can see how merging the physical, mental, emotional, intuitive into one dynamic whole, it just shifts us into a higher way of being. So there's synergy that takes place within each of the rows, as well as synergy within the columns. And that is the beauty of this spiritual model, because it's compatible with new science, and it's compatible with ancient teachings, Eastern psychology, and Eastern philosophy and Western psychology. So it's a relevant tool for everyone. And it's also, I believe, the perfect model for us as individuals so that we can become more authentic in the workplace. We can become more effective leaders. And as in the community, we can belong in such a way that we create a sense of oneness with all humanity. And so it's really quite a special gift that I received. And of course, now it is my passion and my purpose. And it is why I'm here. I came here to put all the pieces together for everyone, because I think we have learned so much from so many different teachers. We learned a little bit here and a little bit there, but this beautiful gift from the universe brings it all together in a synergistic, amazing whole for all of us to use.
Well, the energy, I know that the image is kind of small on the screen, but the energy from the matrix, from the blueprint, is strong. And it's almost as though it's a foundational knowledge that would get us to a different place to co-create with the universe than where we are right now, because we go in and out of fear, chaos.
Yes.
It's hard to have focus and be co-creating at a level that we need change. We need huge change right now.
Yes, we do. And we are each in a wonderful position to make a change. Yeah. Because change only happens from within. And right. The same is true for effective creative leadership. If we don't start with ourselves, and if we don't become our best self, we will never be able to empower employees or to serve our clients in ways that are just above and beyond the norm. And that's what we want to do. So we start within.
Right. That's conscious leadership. I mean, exactly. That's why I wanted everyone to know about your resources, because you bridge the gap from seeking, the yes. constant seeking. Oh, that's a great idea. I'll integrate. It's like if you do it yourself, there's a recipe and you're always looking for ingredients. But if you come to Dr. Pamela, she's already downloaded. And this has been 10 years. That all
it's more than that, actually.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness.
Yes. Okay, a lot longer than that.
Wow. So anyway, it's not only downloaded, it's integrated. And yes. Now this is a path to you living a joyful life. It really is. So you talked about change, and my background before I started my own business was in change enablement. I don't know if you know that.
I did not.
Vision of Arthur Anderson with 80 employees under me. And we did mergers and acquisitions and a lot of online learning, a lot of HR. Anyway, and people are so terrified of change. I mean, it's as though we're in this period of drastic change, chaotic.
Yes. Yes.
So I wondered, I know that we have another diagram that's creating positive change. Should I bring that up? And
well, I'd like to just respond to your comment about chaos and the resistance that we have to change, because change, when it occurs, first of all, the nature of energy and everything in the universe is energy, and it is changing constantly. And of course, right now, we have had to address all the changes in our lives, in our work environments with COVID, and the world is kind of in crisis. But, we need chaos and change, because without it, we would be stagnant. And without chaos, where there is a total breakdown, we would never have a breakthrough into something better. I think that there is so much more for us to realize, to embrace, and to do, to be, if we can embrace change and go with it instead of resist it.
Well, I think creative people create. It's like the Tasmanian devil kind of picture, where we create stuff. If it's normal for too long, we create change, because
Yes.
that's our entertainment. It really is. It's like, that's what we're here for. So I mean, for me, change is vital. I do the work I do because I like to keep learning. It's
Yes.
always changing. And same thing with you. I mean, every person that you work with, you're seeing another aspect of humanity.
Exactly.
So why don't we suggest? I'd love to address how you work with people, because you downloaded this incredible information, integrated it, and then started teaching in Unity churches and all over the place, mostly in Florida and mostly in southern part of the U.S., right?
Well, I've talked in churches from Chicago East.
Oh, okay.
But I've lived here in Southern Florida for 20 some years. So most of my spiritual growth and my spiritual efforts has taken place here. And I created women's groups here, and have had a chance to share the blueprint. But of course, it was in its infancy when I started in, and it has evolved, and my understanding and how I view the blueprint has changed also. So it has become something far more and far deeper than what I began with. At first it was this interesting intellectual exercise, because I came from a scientific background and everything was logical and rational. And then all of a sudden, this intuitive thing opened up, and it just flowed in, and I had this gut knowing that this is right, this is what's good for me. And but there was also a huge shift that occurred with the blueprint, and something that I do share with others. I have shared it in the form of workshops or one-on-one experiences, that where the blueprint, I experienced 15 different archetypes or past lives in one meditative experience. And it blew me away, because they were women and men and children from all walks of life. And then they each reflected an aspect of my life. I mean, and they were from ancient Mayan times to later, like Appalachia and everywhere in between. But each one of them reflected an aspect of life. And each one of them reflected a shift in consciousness that's relevant for all of us. And each one of those 15 were an aspect of the matrix. They were fit into a box, a cell of the matrix. And from that moment on, it became a part of me. It was fully integrated. I experienced it firsthand. So I feel that I can best help people with an experience. And one way that I do that, in addition to my books and in addition to workshops and seminars and discussions, is through spiritual blueprinting. And this is a form of holistic lifestyle healing, holistic consulting. And because I'm intuitive, which something the medical community probably wouldn't be too excited about. But because I'm intuitive, I sense things in my body. And I become like a mirror. And when I work with people, whether it is online or in person or on the phone, my body goes into motion. I sense things. I feel that it's like muscle memory flows through me. So all these positions and motions and imagery comes through, and it's perfect for that particular moment. It's perfect for whatever issues are paramount in the client's life, in your life. For instance, if you're working with issues in the workplace, that's what would come through. If it's a family issue, if it's a personal crisis of some sort, it comes through. And when my clients kind of get involved, because it's interactive, and follow my motions and positions, they can feel exactly what is going on. And then there's a solution, there's a shift, there is an awareness, there's an awakening. And sometimes it's just like a shift in perception. That's all it takes for us to release some of the blocks or the hindrances that have kept us from being all that we are, or from expressing all that we are, or from being that awesome creative leader that we can be at home or in the workplace or in the community.
I feel that the energy that flows through you is integrative. And what it does, it's almost like it puts things in, and I'll use this word, divine order, so that wherever you're out of balance, the person working with you gets relief. They get integration and balance, I guess is the right word. It's like because that's where the emotions are. You may not totally get to 0 point, but you get much more in balance.
Right. We
Correct?
create this dynamic sense of equilibrium and a sense of balance. I mean, we're still always changing and learning and growing and becoming. I think, though, that we go from seeking to seeing and knowing exactly who we are. And that's the beauty of the blueprint, because in the personal realm, when we discover more about who we are and learn how to nourish our bodies better and open our minds and heal and open the heart and tune in and listen to and trust the intuition, then we can become, we reflect the authentic self that we are. We discover exactly who we are in this process. So it's an adventure in self-discovery, so to speak. But then there's the social realm. And this is where we discover why we are here. And it goes through that same process, because we may be helping people on a physical level, like nurturing our children or nursing and caregiving. We may be teaching others in the mental realm, so to speak, being an excellent example. We may be in partnership with people in the heart mode, where we are create a sense of intimacy and companionship. We may, in the intuitive realm, it is more where we use our power to empower others, and we share ourselves in that way. And overall, we create and we discover our mission, our purpose, and we serve others with compassion. I mean, that is the beauty of discovering why we're here, so that we can serve our clients and our communities and our families with compassion.
That's great. That's great. And I can tell you there is energy in this document. Whether or not you totally understand it when you first get it, it will help you. It's like it has a life of its own in it.
It does.
Doesn't it?
It's a powerful revelation.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think it's exactly what we need today to help us heal some of the social ills. We are faced with so much victimhood, and I think it can bring us out of that. It can take us beyond things. And one thing about spiritual blueprinting is that it may be relevant for us right here, right now, but it also may reveal things from our past or even past lives or lives of ancestors that need to be healed. And it can take us into the future where we can get insight into things that can help us as we choose our future paths. As we make decisions, we can have guidance in that aspect. Now, if people come to me and they say, well, I want to know if my soulmate's going to come into my life, or, I want to know if I'm going to or if I need a better job or whatever. And the guidance they received is just perfect, because it isn't about that. I believe what we are here to understand and create in our lives is abundant love, abundant joy, abundant peace, abundant sense of oneness. And we may kind of take a side trip and work and make a lot of money, or create new positions and whatever successes that the ego perhaps wants. But what the soul desires is joy and peace and oneness.
And this is a way to reconnect to your soul.
Exactly.
But the thing that's different is that it has self-empowerment in integrated into it, whereas some people like to go to someone else, a coach, a healer, an energy worker, and they want do me.
Yes.
You just fix me, or just get me out of this mess, or whatever. And what happens with the work that you do is it's about empowering people to have positive change, to look at their life in a different way, and to integrate. It may even be soul retrieval in some cases.
I think it is in some cases, yes. And I'm not a trained shaman or anything. In fact, nobody taught me any of this. It just is gifts from the universe. Cool. And it just flowed in. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. But it is something that I think can shift us in many, many, many ways.
Yes, it's so beautiful. And I've benefited just by being around the energy of it many times. I mean, the energy is palpable. I want everyone to know, hi, everybody. Saf's here, Terry's here. Hey, and Saf's in the event this weekend too. So you have to get to know Saf. Yeah. So I put up your website, drpamelagerali.com, and I'll put it also in the comments and everything, so people can go and get a free book there. Do you want to, which also explains more about the blueprint, so that you'll have something that you can read. Plus, we do have links on this the other site. We're working on updating Pamela's site, so she's got two.
It's a process. It takes all in perfect divine order, right?
Yeah. Well, what I'm so excited about introducing people to you is that there's a whole group of people that don't feel yet. They want to, but they don't feel, and they need someone to take them by the hand and cross that bridge from this left-brained, more mind-oriented work to their whole essence.
Yes.
And that's what I love about what you do. I think it's the perfect pathway for someone who may read quantum physics, or they use their left brain. They do a lot of IT, they're left brain, and they they want to be spiritual. They want that path to being whole and complete. And they see a hole, if they see something's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Well, I do agree. And I think I started off as pretty left brained. I was not open to anything that was unusual or intuitive because I feared it. I was raised in such a limiting fundamental environment that I feared all of that, thinking it was from the other side. And
Oh, interesting. Oh,
yes, I
wow.
did. So I didn't trust it. And I didn't know who to believe or what to believe. And so I have discovered, many things. Now, I think I was creative. My father was extremely creative, but my mother was very left brain. So I think I got the best of both worlds. But I had to open to that. I had to open myself to that. And when I went to the Center for Creative Leadership, we did visioning for the first time. Now, I had learned about guided imagery as a nurse, but visioning is a little different. And visioning is a process that I think can help a lot of us because it is holistic in nature. The process that I use is holistic. So if you want to put up that chart about creating positive change, I think we'll talk about this for a little bit because it's kind of backwards from the way that the blueprint is laid out.
There we go.
But it starts with a vision. We have to allow ourselves to and open our minds to receive inspiration from a higher source. That comes from from the divine. It comes from our higher self, but it's an inspired vision so that it is far more than just something that we conjure up in our minds. And because it begins at that spiritual level, so to speak, then it becomes the foundation for what everything is, and that everything we do after that kind of pulls into the center and makes that vision become a reality. So it begins from that point, then we move kind of backwards to the intuitive realm. And that's where commitment comes into play, where we use our will and our intention to follow through, and to take those first difficult steps, to have the courage to move forward. From there, we use the heart to assess what the needs, in a very compassionate way, what our clients need, what the resources are. And then we move on into a more logical, rational plan for how we can fulfill those needs and taking it into the physical realm where we actually put that plan into action. And of course, it doesn't end there. It's an ongoing cycle because we have to continue evaluating and reassessing the results. So this process really is holistic. But the key thing, which I can't show graphically because of my limited graphic skills, is that when all of this comes into play, there is synergy, and that creates almost like a leap in consciousness where everything shifts to a higher dimension. And when we open our hearts and minds, when everything is in alignment, then that is where abundance happens. That's where our creative genius really comes out to play, and everything changes for the good and for a higher reason.
This diagram reminds me of the manifestation wheel that I was taught about by grandmother Parisha. She's a Cherokee elder.
Okay.
And the only thing that was different is she had it going clockwise, and then she had you go back again backwards.
Okay.
So and what it did, and you could feel the energy build.
Mm-hmm.
It's you're bringing something into form.
Mm-hmm.
So clockwise and then back the other way, looking at it again.
Mm-hmm.
So look at it again, and refine. I think that the counterclockwise was refining. Is that cool?
That is very cool. Now, the energy that I experience with the blueprint and with the model is really more like a tetrahedron. And so that when it all comes together and blows up, so to speak, it becomes very powerful. But I could see how we could just take those little arrows and put them going both ways, and it would be very impactful.
Well, the thing is that it's just about refining. What a lot of people do. I mean, Abraham Hicks says for Law of Attraction that there's a parking lot of stuff up in the ethers because you keep changing your mind. You wanted a red convertible,
Right.
now you're looking at a light blue, blue metallic,
Right.
and a different car. And could you make up your mind already? And
Yes.
and this is where your work could help people focus.
Right, exactly. We're giving the universe mixed signals and saying we want to, we don't want to. Well, maybe we do, maybe it's too much, and I've done that in my past, and I'm doing my best not to do that anymore.
Oh, you're a superstar.
But I think it's a challenge that we all face because there are times when we second guess ourselves. And so if we have an inspired vision that comes from a higher source, I mean, we don't have to second guess, and we don't have to worry about whether we are, doing the right thing. And the other thing I want to say is I don't think we can ever really make mistakes.
Right.
When we have a vision, it can change. And the vision that we have in one moment can be perfect for right now or for this situation. And then it can change because everything in the universe is always changing, and our clients change, and our services change in some way or other, but we have to allow it to flow. And that also brings up the idea of how we respond in any given situation. So there's another chart there that we'll take a look at. So when I went to the Center for Creative Leadership, they shared some of this, but there is in any given situation, maybe 5 or more responses that we can follow. And we typically have a favorite because of, it reflects our nature or our personality or whatever. But each of these is either low stress or high stress, and low yield or high yield. So the key, of course, is to choose an approach that is high yield and low stress. We certainly don't need more stress in our lives. So the first thing we could do is freeze. And that is, we don't have to do anything. If a situation arises, we can just kind of not pause. But that's low stress, but it doesn't accomplish anything. We can fume and fret and fuss and complain, and that doesn't accomplish anything either, but it's very high stress because it keeps the issue in the forefront. Then we can fight. We can confront the issue. We can confront the people that are causing challenges in our lives, and that may create a yield, but it is also very high stress because confrontation is definitely high stress. Or we can flow. We can allow and go with what is, and that is low stress and high yield. We can adapt to what changes are occurring in our life, in our business environment, in the world. And by doing that, we can also make a positive difference. Now, I've added something in the middle, and I call it fly, since we're doing the F words here. And to me, flying is kind of a shift in consciousness. It raises us up out of the muck and into a higher domain where we are present, where we just are so comfortable with what is that we don't have to do anything, so to speak.
That's where we want to be, right? And the thing is that everything is a choice. This is conscious business zone because the people that watch it run small businesses, or
Mhm.
their family runs small business,
Right.
and they have to make conscious choices on the fly
Exactly.
all
Yes.
the time, and so that your response, you have a choice every second.
Yes. Our reaction is one thing. If we pause, then we can respond in a conscious way. And I think that is what we want to do. We need to learn how to take a breath and how to pause and to be fully present instead of reacting or overreacting. And it's not easy, but it's important if we're going to be a creative leader, because then we're good examples for others. There's a quote by Viktor Frankl, who was a survivor of the Holocaust, and he wrote in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. It is our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. And I think that's just so perfect.
And think of the strength of will that I mean, when we think about what we're going through and how we're this opportunity to up level and work on yourself because you have more time, you're not driving to the office as much, and
Right.
although zooming all the time. But I mean, when you think about it, how this hasn't been, except for the people that have gotten terribly sick, but for the majority of people, this has been an opportunity to really work on themselves
Exactly.
and
I
to
think
really
we've,
choose.
sorry.
That's right. It's just choosing what you really, how you want to be, what, get more in touch with your gifts. Could you talk about that a little bit? You
Yes.
mentioned that a little bit, but I think that's a big part of what you offer.
Yes, of course. Our adventure or into self-discovery can be just so revealing. And I think that is certainly the first step, being our best self. And we do that by, without question, search inside. We ask ourselves those very key questions, and we have to be so radically honest about that, about who we are and about our experiences, so that we can clear away some of the crap that still is residual in our lives. And no matter how much we've worked on our issues and have released and whatever, we still have more. It's like peeling an onion, so we continue to work on that. And I think in the process we can bridge the gap between ego, which is like our little small, fearful self, and essence, which is the free, beautiful, totally infinite creative potential that we are. And I had a really amazing experience that I wrote a book about. I shared in a book, and Kathy is helping me in this right now to get it out there again and update it. I had been sick and was flatlined for a few months. And when I came back and had the energy to do any work, I asked, what should I do? Where do I start? Because just like every other creative person, I had a whole bunch of unfinished projects in my computer. And I thought, oh, I'll pick up on one of those. But no, I was told to go to my office every morning for 40 days and journal confessions. And in the process, I really bridged the gap between ego and essence. It was just the most amazing experience, but it was like a deep soul cleanse because everything just poured out of me. And I was able to see how shifts had occurred in my life. And I had told Kathy before that the very first day I didn't know what to do, but I went to my office and I sat there with a candle and, okay, what am I supposed to do? And paused in the moment, and a word came to me, discipline. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't like the idea of that word. I was disciplined pretty harshly as a child. And so I had this visceral reaction. And in my mind, it's like, I don't want anybody telling me what to do or how to do it or what not to do. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's my first confession. So I wrote it down. And as all of my life experiences poured out, I saw how my life had taught me and opened the door from discipline to direction. Through self-discipline, then we have the option to make choices for ourselves that are in the best direction, in our heart's desires. And so every day for 40 days, that happened. And by the end of my 40 days, I was flying. I had made I was just buzzing and flying because I was so free. It was like I was, not grounded at all, but it was such a powerful experience that I shared it in the form of a book. And I think people are surprised at how honest I am. I wondered if that was such a good idea. I mean, should I really air all my dirty spiritual laundry in front of the world? But, you do it because you're guided.
Well, I think what happens is that it's almost like a Course in Miracles template, because each one of those confessions, everyone has.
Yes,
you're just
universal.
brave enough to share it and put some light on it, because obviously those 40 are a great place to start. Exactly. And once you get in the habit of, hey, is this a programmed response? Do I really believe this? Can I let go of this history and let it be peaceful? Because just like you said with discipline, I remember my dad telling I was good, but my siblings, he had an alligator belt, and you had to have him go get the alligator belt for him to then use it on you. And so I remember seeing, that as a little girl was
fearful. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. But releasing those things lets so much flow in.
Right. I mean, and that kind of brought me to my past, where I thought of God as a very judgmental, punishing God, and how you finally discover that there is this amazing higher power that's a part of us that flows with, and I mean, what a shift that was, to go from that punishing God to something that is so pure love, pure joy.
Right. Well, but if your confessions of a passionate seeker book is it will be publishing it soon. And what happens with it is, as a reader, because I've read it several times, I love this book, is it gives you ways that you can really shift your life. Right. And what you find out is that it's you being judgmental, not God.
Exactly.
And that was a big aha for me. And I've done a lot of work. I've read lots of books, taken lots of courses, worked with lots of people. But it was something about the soothing nature of it, the way, because you went first. You were candid and you shared yours. So I think that is what's keeping us from our divinity, is shame.
Yes. I talk about the unholy trinity of guilt, shame, and fear that I had to leave behind so that I could become all that I am, that I could express the essence of my being. And I think that's true for all of us, that guilt, shame, and fear. Fear, of course, separates us. It's part of the duality that we believe, the false sense of duality, but we have to overcome all of that in order to know wholeness, to know our imperfect perfection in order to be all that we are. And then we can know oneness with everything, with God, with the earth, with all humanity, with our friends and families, and, certainly oneness within.
So how did you deal with, because you said that your upbringing was pretty fundamental, how did you deal with your family as you went on this journey? Because obviously you're a bright light. You're not living from doubt
Yes.
and from fear of creation. You're a force of creation. um, how did you deal with your environment? Excuse me, with that.
Well, when I was growing up, I tried to be Little Miss Goody Two Shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And but I was smart enough to do things and not get in trouble. My cousin would come to church with me, and we taught ourselves the alphabet, so that we could talk in church, and our parents couldn't hear us.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
so I was pretty sneaky, but when I went to college, I left it all behind. And, so spirituality wasn't a part of my life. In fact, I didn't know the difference between religion and spirituality. And so I just went off into this whole other, career realm. And it wasn't until years later, I think I was in my late 30s before I even started on a spiritual path. So, but my older sister had studied spirituality for many years, and she had also studied different forms of healing. And when I went to that leadership workshop, I came back and I asked her what I should read because I didn't know where to start. And the very first book I read was The Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman.
Yep.
That's how long ago it was. But anyways, so I read that book, and that just started me on this path. And I was insatiable. I could not get enough. I could not read enough. I was so hungry, so thirsty for spiritual truth. And then, of course, that raised questions about, what's real or what isn't. And I don't want to be led down a wrong path, because I couldn't trust. And trust is a huge, huge issue for most of us.
Yes, yes.
So, but I pursued my life path here. I discovered many things. So I had gone from and I told my story in a one-woman show called Confessions of a Spiritually Promiscuous Woman, which you can watch a video of on my website.
Yeah.
But it's pretty funny, and it's very touching, and it's my story. But it's typical of, I think, that the average spiritual journey. We go through cycles, the hero's journey, so to speak. And so, I may have began with as a victim of religious abuse, so to speak, to become a kind of a perfectionistic workaholic, and then a spiritual junkie and a closet guru before I finally learned how to express the essence of my being.
So, and I think that's fantastic. Well, that actually was a journey that I think a lot of people can relate to, because it's interesting when you start to really sense your connection. You really don't want to read other people's version of it anymore. You
Yes.
really want to just spend that time. Although I love reading stuff with Saint Germain. I still use some of the Saint Germain work and go into the Akashic records, and I love cards. It's fun to play cards. But I mean, so much of this, we're changing so drastically right now. Ernie Day just wrote, these last 4 to 5 weeks have been amazing as I choose to go inward, released a huge amount of shift, especially in the couple of weeks. This morning I was getting texts from people, and they're saying, oh my God, what is going on? The energy has been just so strong, you can hardly get grounded. Mm-hmm. And so I really think your work, for a lot of these people that are starting their journey or want to go deeper on their journey. People that have already started identifying who they are, they could really find their soul purpose with you. They could really reconnect to their soul. The people that are just starting to say, what is truth? Because I think that's a big, big part of all of this right now is we're in a time of I have to check. I don't know about you, but I check. I mean, I bet I do this 100 times a day before. It's like, should I do this? Okay, because the universe knows better than
Kinesiology.
kinesiology, but it's my way of making
tuning in and confirming.
Well, there's that many decisions. The world's happening really fast. Choices are happening really fast. Opportunities to co-create with the universe at a very high level are happening. And not that you can make a mistake, but you want to take the best path. Right. So, I mean, I don't go to the grocery store and go, which potato should I get? But but in work, I don't know about you, but I mean, the stuff that the opportunity to be clear and be the manifestations can happen really fast. You are an amazing production unit where you decide you're going to do something and 4 hours later I get it from you. Now I work with people that I might not get it for 6 months. But once you decide, you're clear. And that's what the matrix, what the blueprint has done for you, that whole work with the blueprint back up, even though it's really small. Yes. Sorry.
That's on my website, PamelaGerali.com website. If you look at the blueprint page, you can find that.
Yes. So I'll put both websites in the information, but what I want people to realize is that in this time of chaos, you can actually be the calm within the storm. You can actually be the eye and use this energy of change as a production opportunity. Correct?
Right. Well, I think we're all leaders in our own right, in our homes, with ourselves, and within a business environment. And we can make such a positive difference if we have some kind of guidance, something we can hang our hats on, so to speak, so that we know that we are coming with our best self, that we have developed our skills, that we enhance our strengths and bring in other support for our weaknesses, so to speak, and that we can be a great example for our clients and for our employees. And we teach, just by how we act, we are showing people the way, so to speak. We create positive change, and the choices that we create today, our choices today is creating our future. So we want to be very conscious about the choices that we make. We want to be very clear so that we're moving forward in a positive way. And but sometimes we just have to pause before we jump in. However, I do think we need to learn how to trust the gut. And that's not easy because, we may have made a decision in the past that now it seems like it may not have been the right one, but we got someplace, we learned something from every single experience that we've had. And sometimes as leaders, we have to deal with very difficult people. These people may, on the first reaction, feel like they are blocks or just challenges, but they are the ones that we can learn the most from. And they're the ones that we probably need to go and look in the mirror a little bit, because there's an aspect of ourselves that is being reflected back to us. And that's humbling, you know. But this whole process, when we shift from ego to essence, you know, we don't have to be right. We can just be present. We can be. And so these people teach us so much, and we learn so much. And so we trust our guts, and we stick to our convictions, and we learn how to think outside the box and rattle little cages or something like that, so that instead of just following the norm or having an average business or life experience or whatever, it is blown into a way that is far more powerful and far more impactful. And we can then leave an amazing legacy because we're following our soul's desire.
Right.
And it makes such a difference. And we don't need to waste a lot of time, because there's never a perfect time to make a change. Change is, you know, people are going to resist. You just do it. And I think also, if we do a little more than what is expected, there's a level of excellence that I think can also help us to shift the energies into a higher realm. So we don't want to just be status quo. We want to be powerful co-creators.
What I find with your work is that you are clearing the debris that's keeping fear in place, where we don't show up completely. Yes. So what happens is, especially with the confessions book, the confessions, you look at each one and you're presented with, you know, ooh, I didn't really want to look at that. I mean, I think this whole time period has been, we have been forced to look at everything we don't like in a divine way. It's not punishment, it's clearing.
Yes.
And so this is like Ho'oponopono. It's like the Course in Miracles, where it's all about forgiveness. We're really forgiving ourselves for the obstruction that we have inside our body, obscurations, so that we can hold our true energy, our true essence. Right. And your process takes you by the hand, step by step, with these realizations that they're such a gift, Pamela. Thank you so much. They're so amazing.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
It is, to me, my greatest, this is not a job. This is my joy. And it's why I'm here. And I think the process can be, it can drag us down a little bit, but not this. You know, this just lifts us all up. And it's a joyful process. It creates just a environment of happiness and oneness, so that we can truly be all that we are. We can truly express the essence of our being.
Right.
I do that in the workplace as well as in the home and in our personal lives. Right.
This is how you authentically, good cat going. This is how you authentically reconnect to who you authentically decide as a soul essence decided to manifest here, and show up fully, game on. That's the difference. Is right now, if in Ernie put it in here too, trust has been a major hurdle. Good for the people, glad for the people that are in my life world. I'm learning to trust again because of all my experiences. I think what she said is true for all of us. And if we're looking at, rather than stop sign, everything that shows up, like, because that's that freeze or fume, or
Mm-hmm.
but one of those F words
Right.
is not fly, that's for sure. It's protect, it's fear. And,
Right.
and we look at it like, well, it wouldn't be in my field unless I needed it. It's a gift.
Mm-hmm. It is.
But you have to be standing in your truth to be able to see that.
Mm-hmm. And I think you have to be ready and willing to, and humble enough to share your truth and to be honest and open with yourself. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, you certainly can't be authentic with
Exactly.
anybody else.
That's it. This inner journey, it seems as though you'll get pieces of the puzzle from all different teachings. You can listen, you can read the Tao and contemplate. But if you want a fast track to clearing your stuff up soon, I highly recommend that you work with Dr. Pamela, and that you download the blueprint and download her free book that's at this site at drpamelagerali.com. And I'll put it in there so you'll be able to just copy and paste or just click on it to get there. But what you're going to see is that this is something that could very quickly give you a stepping stones approach to looking at everything. This is how you bring morality back into business. This is how you be in harmony with yourself and others. This is a blueprint for high developed psyche and spirituality.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It is, I think it is relevant for us as individuals, but with relationships and in the workplace as well as in the community. I think it is an awesome model that can be used for education and for healthcare and whatever, because it is holistic. We can't just address a piece of ourselves and make a difference. We have to put it all together eventually into a synergistic whole, because that is where leaps of consciousness occur, when we bring it all together and find the synergy.
Well, you guys, I've had the fortune of working with Dr. Pamela for a while, and we both feel the energy when we work together. Her
Yes.
energy is so clear that if you are ready to go to the next step and want to fast track, I really believe that what you're doing, because it has a linear aspect to it, that it will be easy for a lot of people to
Mhm.
follow, whereas they might have to put their recipe together in fragments and other ways for years. And this is the time everything's speeding up. You want to know what's on the matrix and be able to use it in your life right now.
Yes. Well, I think the matrix appeals to the left brain, but the energy is what tugs at the heart and helps bring the soul into the wholeness of our being. So I believe that it merges the our desire to understand with and the experiences that are brought forth through spiritual blueprinting and through the books and different aspects of
Oh, I love
our
this.
work.
Well, I'm sorry we have to sign off, and I'm getting texts and everything right now. So it's a busy, busy time. We are running an event this weekend, and Dr. Pamela will be in it, and I'll put that also in the comments. She's one of 18 amazing speakers that are offering free gifts to help us all during this changing time. And I'm just so honored that I'm on this path with you, and that you're so generous with what you're sharing. Thank you so, so much.
It is my pleasure and my joy. I'm delighted to be here.
Yes,
Thank
me.
you.
Ooh, okay. Well, gotta sign off. Thank
Take
you.
care. Blessings.
Uh-huh. Have a